what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking.
Okay guys, Skitty Dad here for another scary mystery. This one takes place in 1996. And again, this is in Knoxville, Tennessee. I was a teenager and I ran the streets a lot. So I seen a lot of different things. And there was this quarry that was abandoned and off limits to the public. There was signs everywhere. They made it hard to get into. Me and my buddy, we always went there. That was our spot to go. So we went one night. It's 10:30, 11 o'clock when we take off, and we walk the railroad tracks. Easiest way to get there. So we go down the railroad tracks, laughing, talking, enjoying our time, just being a teenager. We end up in the quarry. At the bottom of the quarry, you could walk down to where there's two rocks, big old rocks. I mean, massive rocks. And we would sit there and talk and smoke and just enjoy each other away from everything. Just me, him, and the wilderness, basically. Because there's nothing but woods around this quarry. And we're there till I say it's probably 2:15 a.m. and we start hearing weird stuff. When I mean weird stuff, I mean like groups of people marching and not hollering, but kind of chanting. And at first we just think it's 2-3 homeless people. But as it gets closer, it sounds more like an army, like 100 people, maybe more. So at this time we panic. What do? We're at the bottom of the quarry. Do we go up top, where the sound's coming from? Or do we take off in the woods and find out where it leads? We decide to stay put. Worst decision we ever made. So, as the sounds get closer, we can see torches. And I don't mean one torch. When I mean torches, not flashlights. I mean actual torches. Sticks with cloth on the end of them burning. Actual fire. And it's thousands of them. It has to be. I've never in my life seen this many torches, ever, anywhere. So, my buddy freaks out, decides he's gonna run, but he's making too much noise. They hear us, and he freaks out and runs to the top. So as we get to the top where you can get out onto the railroad tracks, there's nothing there. So we sat there. I know I seen what I saw. He seen it too. So we chalk it up to maybe we're just paranoid. Don't know what happened, but let's leave. So we're on our way out, and we hear dogs. Not one, not two, at least 4 dogs. So we get back onto the tracks, and it's pitch dark. There's no lights on railroad tracks. It is absolutely dark. And these railroad tracks run through the middle of the woods. So there's woods on one side of us and woods on the other side of us. The only light we have is from the moon, which isn't much. And I am not terrified of dogs, But my buddy, he is terrified of dogs. He once got bit when he was younger. So he's freaking out thinking we're getting chased by these dogs. So I tell him we need to stop where it's dark, right before we come across some trussels. So we get to the dark spot and hide back in the woods. It's almost like a bushy cave. It's like the front of it don't grow, but the back of it does. So we're in here. And we're there for 10, 15 minutes. And we hear chanting. And I couldn't quite make out what they were saying. And then it gets quiet. And we hear footsteps. Many footsteps. Footsteps are very distinct on the railroad tracks because there's big railroad rocks. And there's no quieting them. You can't be quiet on the railroad tracks. You're going to make noise. So as the sounds get closer and closer, we're scared to death. We don't know what's going to happen. So as we're watching, it's like a group of 100 people walk by, and they don't look right. They're all in white, almost transparent. Still, what are they? So we wait on them to pass. We walk out of our hiding spot and towards where they went. We walked hours and hours that way and never found what that was or who that was. But we always went back to the quarry. So when we went back, probably a month later, we didn't go back right away. We were scared. So we go back maybe a month and a half later, something like that, and we don't hear nothing. We decide we're going to walk off through the trail in the woods and see if we can find a way to come out the other end. As we're walking through, we come across a camp of what we thought would be homeless people. But there was nobody there. So we walk on through and find out there's no way out the other end. It's a big cliff. So unless you're gonna jump off there and break your legs and maybe die, you're not going off. So we turn around and go back. As we get back to where the tents are, there's now a fire and posts and stuff holding clothes up. So we know somebody's here. As we walk by the tents, we hear dog barking. Same sounds we heard before. So we stop dead in our tracks. We're maybe 15 feet from where the tents are. In the fire. As I turn back to make sure there's nobody coming from the tents are gone. There's no fire. How is that? We're looking at each other. We don't know what to do. So I suggest we walk back to where the fire was and let's look at the ground. There's nothing burnt. There's no ashes. There's no tents. There's no poles. There's no dogs. There's nothing. My question to all of you, what was in the quarry? Was it paranormal? Was it alien? Were we just tripping? I don't think we were tripping. This wasn't the only case that this has happened. I have more stories from this quarry. A couple people have died there. So I just wonder if this quarry is a place for lost souls. And that was their way of letting us know they were there. I don't know. All I can say is never forget scary is always around the corner.